Hello everyone. I'm so sad this year that I couldn't make the Woodstock Fruit Festival. There was no international travel from Australia, and I miss you all lots. It's good to see all the pictures on social media and see everyone enjoying themselves, and I hope you're having a wonderful festival this year. So if I'd been allowed to travel, I would be with you this week, and also giving this presentation with Julia and Michael. And the presentation is 10 years of the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and this is the 10th festival, and it's amazing really how we've grown and developed over the 10 years. So some of the highlights for me of the past 10 years are, first of all, the very first festival. Michael invited me to go to the first festival, which was at Menla Mountain Retreat, and it was near Woodstock, which is why the Woodstock Fruit Festival was called the Woodstock Fruit Festival. And when I arrived, it was just surreal. I arrived in a van with Cappy, my son, and some other people, and there were all these people about that I'd seen on YouTube videos, and there was a big white van there, and it had 1,000 durians in it, and it was like if you were trying to script a raw vegan movie, that was it, and we were in it. And right from that minute I fell in love with the Woodstock Fruit Festival. We had the most wonderful time, Cappy and I, that first year. It was our first time ever in America, and the retreat was a beautiful location. It was so spiritual, so beautiful, and I did volunteering in the mornings with the children's activity team, and I gave some presentations, had the best time. And then moving on, I started with the admin work from the 2012 festival onwards. And we had a few challenges in 2012. The festival had grown. There was twice as many people as in 2011, and everybody arrived at the same time. So the volunteers, the food, the attendees all arrived, and I think some people had to wait 4 hours in line to register in 2012. We also had some issues with the fruit, which had been really good the year before, and we had bananas that weren't ripe, and dates that didn't arrive, and mangoes that only ripened up on the last day. So we did have a few challenges, and we were all learning and growing ourselves, because none of us were event professionals. We were fruitarians who were working together in a team to bring this event together, so we learnt and we grew as the years went by. One of the real highlights for me has been the weddings. We've had lots of people meet and form romantic relationships at Woodstock. We've had 2 weddings. So 7 years ago was Anna and Rainey, and then 2 years ago we had Melissa and Nathan, and I was very honoured to ask to conduct both the ceremonies, and I was so nervous doing that because I didn't want to mess up their big days. But what I really loved, the ceremonies were beautiful, but I really loved the preparation for both and how everybody came together. Musicians offered their services, the volunteers decorated, everybody gave service so that we could have a wedding service, and it was beautiful and special, both the weddings. So the weddings have been a real highlight for me, and also seeing people meet and get together at Woodstock, form relationships, not just romantic relationships, but friendships and relationships that go on throughout the years. Another highlight for me has been the volunteers. The volunteers are so inspiring to me because I see them giving service and working really hard, going above and beyond their duties to make the festival a success for everybody. And really, without the volunteers, the festival just couldn't happen. So I give my heartfelt thanks to the volunteers for the past 10 years who've helped this festival happen. And if the volunteers didn't show, we couldn't have the festival. Also, one of the highlights has been working with Julia and Michael, and the past 2 years with Gillian, working as part of a team. And we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses, but I think when we come together, it forms something so big and strong because we work together and we play on our strengths, we learn from our weaknesses, and we grow as a team. And that team work together moving forward throughout the years has been very valuable to me. I've learnt a lot about myself, about different working practices, and learnt the joy of being in a team that creates something, and when it all comes together, and it is a lot of hard work, and there are some ups, there are some downs, but at the end result, when people come over and say, that was the best week of my life, or the festival has changed me, and we see all the positive that's come out of this festival. And when Michael started the festival in 2011, his idea was to bring people together in real life, people that connected over the internet but needed support, needed to come together to share, to support, to learn from each other. And that's just what he did. And so, you know, this is the 10th year of the festival, and that's very, very special that it's gone on through. We couldn't have the festival last year, but it's gone on through trials and tribulations and has grown in many, many ways. So we've had real highlights, we've had some challenging times, some dramas, but we've pulled through it. And you know, we're still going, and hopefully in another 10 years time we'll be having a 20-year anniversary for the festival. And there's been some fun times as well. A couple of really funny times for me have been some of the drag nights, and in particular Roy with his balloons. I had such a belly laugh with that. That was one of the funniest things ever. He did such a great job with that. And also I remember in 2018, Yulia and I stayed on after everybody had gone home. So all the volunteers had gone home. There was a few Walden staff, but just Yulia and myself. And we were doing some work, tying up ends from the 2018 festival and doing some work for the 2019 festival. And we had food left for us so that we didn't starve. And we had a big box of Bari dates. And they were in like a plastic mesh box. And anyway, when everybody goes home, the other creatures come out. So you see a lot of squirrels, a lot of chipmunks, a lot of groundhogs. And one squirrel in particular had his eyes on our dates. So we left them to ripen, because they were unripe Bari dates. We left them to ripen in the box at the deck at the back of the office. And the little squirrel had come and he'd poke his head round. And then he got his courage together and he ran up and he got a date in his mouth and pulled it and ran away with it. And then the next day he did the same. And then he got braver and he started taking whole branches of dates away with him. So Yulia put the lid on the box so he couldn't get to them. And then when I came to the office one morning, I saw that there was the box. There was a big hole chewed in the plastic. The squirrel had got in and taken his dates. So we've had some good times, some good laughs together. When we've had a hard day's work, about sort of 9 o'clock at night, just before the noise curfew, we've had dance parties with Cappy putting his music on in the office and danced the night away. So I'd like to just say thank you very much to Michael for starting the festival. Thank you very much to Yulia and Gillian, to be a pleasure to work with, and to all the attendees, all the volunteers, everybody that comes together, because it really is like a big jigsaw. There's all these pieces. There's volunteers, there's sponsors, there's attendees, there's presenters, there's food suppliers, and let's not forget the wonderful fruit from Miami Fruit that's really upped the quality of the fruit in the past few years. All these pieces come together to create the Woodstock Fruit Festival. So I'm going to raise a glass of freshly squeezed blood orange juice and say cheers and thank you to everybody. I miss you lots. Have a wonderful festival and I hope to see you next year. Cheers. Here's to the Woodstock Fruit Festival.